Hello everyone, we're about to start lesson 4 word problem. Okay, it says to pass the mathematical reasoning test, you will need to solve word problems. These questions are easier to manage if you use a 5-step problem solving process. Practice this process with word problems in this book. Step 1, what is the question asking me to find? Read the problem carefully, state the question in your own words. Step 2, what information from the problem do I need? Select only the information you need to answer the question. Step 3. Which operation do I need to perform? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Choose from one of the 4 operations above based on your understanding of the question. Step 4. What is my solution? Carry out the operation with the numbers you chose in step 2. Step 5. Does my answer make sense? Look back to make sure that you answered the question. Check that your answer makes sense. To help you decide which operation to use, keep the following ideas in mind. When you add, you combine amounts of different sizes. When you subtract, you find the difference between amounts. You multiply, you combine the same amount multiple times. Then when you divide, you separate one amount into equal sized groups. So now, what I want to do, I want to skip down to our problem set and we could go over these principles. Okay, practice 4.1. Number 1. It says Peter wants to repaint his 700 square foot apartment. He calculates that he has 3,500 square feet of wall space to paint. He will not paint the floor or the ceiling. If each gallon of paint will cover 350 square feet of wall space, how many gallons will Peter need? Now we're told here that he will not paint the floor or the ceiling. So the only thing left is the walls. So we see here that 1 gallon of paint will cover 350 square feet. So, oh, this marker isn't the best. So we would say 1 gallon is equal to 350 square feet. Now you don't have to write this. I write this down so you can see the steps here. So we know we're going to have to deal with this 1 gallon of 350 square feet. And then also it tells us he calculates that he has 3,500 square feet of wall space. So we know that we're dealing with the 3,500 square feet of wall space. I should have wrote wall space here first, but this is wall space. Wall space is 3,500 square feet. So now what we would do is this. We want to find out how many gallons of paint that we would need. So we would take the 3,500 square feet, which is the wall space, and divide it by the 350 square feet. Whatever our answer is how many gallons of paint we actually would need. So we would take 350 and we divide it into the 3,500. Now the square feet will simplify each other off because we're trying to find out how many, not the square footage. So we'll take 350 and a 3. We know it cannot go into 3 or 35, but 350 could go into 350 one time. So 1 times 350 is 350. 350 minus 350 is 0. Bring down this other 0. 350 goes into 0 times. 0 times 350 is 0, and 0 minus 0 is 0. So your answer here would be 10 gallons. And here we have C. That would be C. That's our answer. Okay, now we move on to problem number 2. Now with problem number 2, it says for a family get together, Daryl wants to be sure that each child gets 2 party favors. The party favors cost $3 each. There are 11 children coming. How many party favors would Daryl need? Now the question is, how many party favors would Daryl need? That has nothing to do with the price. So the party favors costing $3 each is irrelevant. because we only want to know how many does Daryl need. So we look here, Daryl wants to give each child 2 party favors, and there's 11 children coming. So to determine what we will have here, we have 11 children coming. Daryl wants to give them 2 apiece, which we will multiply by 2. So we have 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 1 is 2. 22, which is D. So again, 11 children, each get 2 party favors. This is multiplication. Okay, number 3. It says here, Sarah and Kate live 18 miles apart, and they both work at the same office. If Sarah lives 25 miles from the office, and Kate lives 30 miles from the office, how many miles further from the office does Kate live than Sarah? Now, one thing, this question, how many miles further from the office does Kate live than Sarah? Now, the miles from the office is stated here. If Sarah lives 25 miles from the office and Kate lives 30 miles from the office, so we have their distance from the office here. This 18 miles apart is unnecessary for this problem, for what they're asking for. So in this problem, we're trying to find the difference. We know that we're trying to subtract 30 miles minus 25 miles, because we want to see the difference in distance they have from the office. So 30 minus 25, we cannot subtract 5 from 0, but we could borrow 1 from this 3 and make it a 2, and the 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 minus 2 is 0. 5 miles. A. Now number 4. It says for question 4, write your answer on the line provided. The Navarro family uses an average of 225 gallons of water per day, 5 gallons of which goes through the family's water filter. The Navarro's water filter can process 450 gallons before it needs to be replaced. After how many days of average water use will the family need to replace their filter? So they're asking, how can you determine how long the family will have their filter? So we look at everything that affects the filter. This 225 gallons of water does not affect the filter. It's the 5 gallons that goes through the water filter that affects the filter. So we know we're going to deal with this 5 gallons, and then the Navarro's water filter can process 450 gallons before it needs to be replaced. So what we will have here, we will have our 450 gallons divided by the 5 gallons. Now, when we look at this here again, it's 450 gallons before the filter needs to be replaced. But each day, because we're talking about their average water use, only 5 gallons goes through this water filter. So if we take 450 divided by 5, that will give us how many days it will be before the water filter needs to be replaced. So we could take 5 into 450. We know 5 does not go into 4, but 5 does go into 45. 5 goes into 45 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. 45 minus 45 is 0. We'll bring down our 0 here. 5 goes into 0 0 times, and 0 times 5 is 0. So we have no remainder, and our final answer is 90. It's 90 days. Now, if you notice, this problem was not a multiple choice. So we look here at problem number 5. It says questions 5 and 6 are based on the following information. Joyce owns a beauty salon, and she has posted the following information in her salon. So basically, she has the service, the minutes to complete, and the price. How many minutes would it take Joyce to give 3 pedicures? So we look here at pedicures. It takes 30 minutes for 1. So she wants to give 3. So we'll take 30 times 3. So 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 3 is 9. So it would take 90 minutes, which is D. Okay, now we look at number 6. How much more does a customer pay for the makeover than the manicure and pedicure combined? So what we would have to do first, we want to know how much more the person pays for the makeover. So the makeover is $60. So we can write that down. Makeover is equal to $60. Now the pedicure, the manicure and the pedicure, they do have it combined. Manicure and pedicure is $35. So I put mani and pedi. It's $35. So we want to know how much more that it costs for the complete makeover as opposed to the mani and pedicure combined. So we'll take the $60 minus the $35. You know we cannot subtract 5 from 0. We could borrow 1 from this 6 and make it a 5, and the 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. So it's $25. So that would be C. Okay, now we come here to problems 7 and 8. It says for questions 7 and 8, write your answers on the line provided. Brandon is planting his part of the local community garden. He has calculated that he can plant 6 seedlings per row, and the garden allots 7 rows to each gardener. What is the maximum number of seedlings Brandon could plant? Okay, so now it tells us that he could plant 6 seedlings per row. So we'll start off. We know that he has 6 seedlings per row. The garden allots 7 rows to each gardener. So we'll multiply that by 7. 6 seedlings, 7 rows. So we have 6 times 7, which is 42. So that would be the max amount, 42 seedlings. Okay, number 8. It says here, Sumaya knits gloves and hats each winter and sells them through a local shop. If Sumaya received $189 from the sale of her hats and gloves this past winter, and she spent $27 on yarn, how much money did she earn from her knitting? So she walked away with $189, but she has to subtract off the money she spent for the materials, the yarn. So we'll take 189 minus $27. So 9 minus 7 is 2, 8 minus 2 is 6, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So she actually made $162 for her knitting. Okay, now I'm going to scroll down here to where it says multi-step word problem. So basically, we still will follow some of the same principles, but in these problems, you have more than one step, which typically means a lot of times that you will have more than one operation, but not necessarily. So it says the word problems on the previous 2 pages involved only one operation to solve. However, on the GED mathematical reasoning test and other tests, you may need to do several math processes to solve a problem. These are called multi-step problems. When you are working on multi-step problems, there are 2 important ideas to keep in mind. What is the question asking me to find? And did I answer the question? Review the example of a multi-step problem in the problem-solving process below. Example 1. To win a prize, Sarah's daughter has to sell 75 boxes of cookies in 3 days. If she sold 16 boxes on day 1 and 34 boxes on day 2, how many boxes would she need to sell on day 3 to win the prize? Okay, so now remember we're trying to get up to the 75 boxes. Okay, so with that being said, okay, so our goal is 75 boxes. That's our goal. Now, on day one, she sells 16 boxes. Day two, she sells 34 boxes. Now we're trying to find what she had on day three. So we would add day one and day two together. 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry our 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. So between day one and day two, she sold 50 boxes. Now we get to day three. In order to find out what day three is, we would take the amount of boxes we want, which is 75, and the amount that was sold over the first 2 days, and subtract them. So 5 minus 0 is 5, 7 minus 5 is 2. So 25 boxes would need to be sold. So if you look here at these steps, we went through each of these steps. What is the question asking me to find? The question asks me to find how many boxes Sarah's daughter needs to sell on the third day to make her goal of 75. Okay? What information from the problem do I need? I know the total number of boxes she needs to sell, which we put 75 boxes. I know how many boxes she sold on day one and day two, which we did here. Now, do I need to do only one operation or do I need to do more than one? I can add to find how many boxes Sarah's daughter has sold so far. So we have 16 plus 34 is 50, which we did. However, that doesn't tell me how many boxes she needs to sell on day three. I need one more step. What is my solution? We would take the 75 boxes, which is total, minus the 50 boxes sold over the 2 days, and that leaves us 25 boxes for day three, which we solved. Okay, so correct answer is for number is 2 for 25. I didn't realize this was multiple choice. So it'd be 2 for 25. Does my answer make sense? Did I answer the question? By taking an additional step, I answered the question of how many boxes need to be sold on day three. So we did take care of that. This sample multi-step problem involves only two operations, adding and subtracting. On the actual test, you may need to do 3 or more operations to answer a question. So read and think carefully about each problem. As you think about the example, note the most common mistake people make with multi-step problems. Often they stop short of answering the question. Notice that choice 350 is a partial solution, but it is not the answer to the question. Using a 5-step problem solving process will help you avoid that mistake. Okay, so now we go down to 4.2. It says questions 1 through 3 are based on the information below. Piranha's produce company distributes to several restaurants. The table below shows how many cases of different produce each restaurant ordered from Piranha's company in July. Okay, we have restaurant A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, we have our numbers here and the type of produce they ordered in July. If Boston lettuce costs $17 per case and romaine lettuce costs $23 per case, how much did restaurant D spend on lettuce ordered from Piranha's in July? So we want to look at restaurant D, and we want to look at their Boston lettuce and their romaine lettuce. So it's 2. Oh, I have to adjust it. Okay. All right. So for number 1, we have for restaurant D, we have 2 for Boston lettuce, and we have 3 for romaine lettuce. Okay, so now, so the next thing that we would do is this here. Two for the Boston lettuce. We're told that it costs $17 per case. So we would take 2 times 17, and then for the romaine, it is $23 per case. Now, I remember telling you all in class that it's a little easier to have the longer number on the top and the smaller number, or the smaller in length number at the bottom. So let's change this here. Let's put the 17 on top times 2, and then the 23 on top times 3. Remember, multiplication is commutative, so you will get the same answer. So 2 times 7 is 14. So 4, carry your 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So that's 34 for number 1. Well, 34 for the Boston lettuce. Now for the romaine lettuce. 23 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. So this Restaurant D, spent $34 on Boston lettuce, $69 on romaine lettuce. So now we have to see what is the total that they spent on this. So we would add these two values. So we would take the $69 plus the $34. 9 plus 4 is 13. Carry our 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 3 is 10. So it'll be $103. So that would be C. Okay, now let's look at problem number 2. It says delivery costs $2 per case for the first 5 cases, and $1 per case for each additional case of produce. What was Restaurant B's delivery charge in July? Now remember, produce is basically fruits and vegetables. So if we look here at Restaurant B, all of these are fruits or vegetables. Actually, all of these are vegetables, but they're produce. So we look here at Restaurant B. The first thing we would need to do is add up all of the produce they have here. So we have the total amount of produce they had to have shipped. So we'll take 4, 4, 2, 2, and 1. And we would add all of these up. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So again, this is Restaurant B. All right, so now it says, now we want to figure out the cost. It says the first 5 cases cost $2 per case, and then $1 per case for each additional case of produce. So what we need to do, we need to take this 13 and subtract 5 to see how many cases are past 5. So we'll borrow 1 from this 1 and borrow 1 from 3. So, I'm sorry, not borrow 1 from 3. We would add 1 to the 3 to make it 13. So we had 13 minus 5, which is 8. So again, just to recap, I made a mistake here. We were supposed to borrow 1 from the 1 and then add 10 to the 3. That gave us 13. Minus 5 is 8. So now we have 5 deliveries at $2 a piece. So that'll give us 10. And then the remaining 8 is at $1 a piece, give us 8. So 8 times 1 is 8, 5 times 2 is 10. Now, we want to know the total delivery charge. So we would add these two together. So we'll do 10 plus 8. 8 plus 0 is 8. And then 1 plus 0 is 1. So it'd be $18. $18 is B. Okay, number 3. Says if asparagus costs $22 per case and tomatoes cost $15 per case, which of the following restaurants spent the most on asparagus and tomatoes combined? So if you notice here, they only talk about restaurants A, B, C, and D. So one thing that's nice is we don't have to worry about restaurant E. So we want to know who spent the most on tomatoes and asparagus. Now asparagus is $22 and tomatoes is 15. Let's take a look at restaurant A. Restaurant A, we have 2 asparagus and 3 tomatoes. So I'm gonna put A here, B, C, and D, and we'll figure it out from each one of it. So with restaurant A, we had 22 times 2, which is 44. Then we have 3. Well, we could do this. It's 3 cases, so it's $15 per case. So we'll say 15 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15, carry our 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So we have 44 plus 45. So we would add them. So that'll be $89 for restaurant 1 or restaurant A. I'm going to break these up. Okay, restaurant B. Now we look at restaurant B. We have 4 for the asparagus. We'll do 22 times 4, which is 88. Then we have 1 for the tomatoes. So we'll do 15 times 1, which is 15. We add these two together. 88 plus 15. 5 plus 8 is 13. Carry our 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So this is 103. So far, B is our answer. But we have to check C and D. Okay, now, when we go here to C, we have 0 for asparagus. So it'll be 22 times 0, which will give us 0, or 0, dollars. Then we have 3 for tomatoes. So we do 15 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry a 1 is so you'll carry a 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So that'll be $45. So this would be basically $45 plus $0, which is $45. So we know C is not it. So far it's still B. So now we need to check D. It's $22 for the asparagus. They have 1. So it's $22 for the asparagus. Now we look here at the tomatoes. Tomatoes are $15 a piece. That's 4 cases. So 4 times 5 is 20, carry a 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So now we have $60. We add them together. $22 plus $60 is equal to $82. So still B is what wins out here. Our final answer here is B. Okay, now we go to problem number 4. It states, at a certain store, loose leaf paper comes only in packages of 400 sheets. If a student buys enough paper at the store to fill 3 binders with 150 sheets of paper each, how many sheets will be left over? Okay, first of all, we have to find out how much is in the binders. So we have 3 binders and it's 150 sheets of paper each. So we would take 150 times 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 carry a 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So it's 450 sheets that will be needed to fill up 3 binders. Okay, now it says how many sheets will be left over. So that means that it says loose leaf paper comes only in packages of 400 sheets. We have to fill up all 3 of those binders. So it's 450 sheets, but the packages only come with 400 sheets of paper. So we're going to need 2 packages. So 400 times 2 is 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, and 2 times 4 is 800. So now we have 800 sheets of paper wherein we will only use 450 of them. So we would take the difference. 800 minus 450. 0 minus 0 is 0. You cannot take 5 from 0. So we have to borrow 1 from this 8 and make it 7. And the 0 becomes 10 because we added 10 to 0. 10 minus 5 is 5. And 7 minus 4 is 3. So 300 sheets of paper left over. So it should be C. Okay, now we go here to problem number 5. It says 3 friends are baking cupcakes for a bake sale. Each batch of 24 cupcakes requires 2 cups of flour. The friends have a single 5-pound bag of flour that contains 19 cups of flour. How many whole batches of cupcakes can they bake? Okay, so 24 cupcakes requires 2 cups of flour. So now, we're going to write out the information that we have. It's 24 cupcakes, 2 cups of flour. Write out some of this information. Now it says the friends have a single 5-pound bag of flour that contains 19 cups of flour. So basically what we could do here, we don't necessarily need the 5-pound portion. We need it's already broken up into cups. So we have 1 bag, or I should say, I might as well say 1 5-pound bag that's equal to 19 cups of flour. So they want us to know how many whole batches of cupcakes can they bake. Now we only want the whole batches. We don't want partial batches here. So what we would do is this here. You get 2 cups for every 24 batch of cupcakes. So what we would have to do is take the 19 cups of flour we have and divide it by the 2 cups that we need to make a full batch of 24 cupcakes. So we'll take 2 into 19. 2 goes into 1 0 times. 2 goes into 19 9 times. 9 times 2 is 18. 19 minus 18 is 1. And you have a remainder 1. But remember, our final answer, they just want to know how many full batches we can make. So we can disregard the remainder, and all we concentrate on is the whole number. So we can make 9 batches. We can make 9 full batches, which is A. Okay, now, next thing, go on to problem 6, which will be the last problem of this lesson. It says, a certain health insurance plan costs $3,000 per year for a family of 6. Each member of the family has $750 in medical expenses in a year, and the plan pays 100% of those expenses. How much would the family save by purchasing the plan? Okay, so let's take a look at it. Each person spends $750 and there's 6 of them. So we'll take 750 times 6. So we have 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5 is 30. 0 carry a 3. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus 3 is 45. So we have 4,500 that they spent so far. Now it says that the plan pays 100% of those expenses. How much would the family save by purchasing the plan? Now, they would get reimbursed $4,500. That's the total that they would spend in a year. The plan costs $3,000. Now, to see the savings, we're trying to get the difference. So we would subtract 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. and 4 minus 3 is 1. So that will give us $1,500, which is A. That's how much they saved. It's $1,500. Now, this concludes lesson 4 of chapter 1 for the mathematics. So this will be posted up on YouTube. I will talk to you all later. Bye.